Hello, welcome to Western Wisconsin Journal. I'm Meg Heaton. I'm a retired newspaper reporter for the Star Observer, and for many of those years, almost all of them, I covered the Hudson School District and got to know a lot of the teachers and incredible professionals that work there and saw them in action with our students. My guest today is in the middle of all of that. It's Kelly Curtis. She's been very active in the district in her capacity as a school social worker. She's been doing it for over 2 decades, and she's
school counselor.
School counselor. Thank you. And we're going to talk today about the specific issues that this challenge, the pandemic, is putting families through, and teachers and counselors, and how they're managing this. So, Kelly, could you talk? I mentioned earlier to you that, as I said, over the years, I've done stories with the district and with individual teachers and in classrooms following disasters that have happened in the community, whether it was Columbine or 9/11 or a fire. There was a fire, I believe, at Rock. I think there was a fire
at Rock.
Mm-hmm. I watched how important it was to the kids to have you guys in their lives, physically there, creating this safe space for them and this secure kind of routine for them. And that's kind of gone now. So can you speak to how that's been for you to adjust to, and how the kids appear to be doing to you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a totally different environment. I mean, kids are in their homes, so generally they're feeling safe and comfortable, but they are missing their teacher every day. They're missing the hugs that they get in the hallway. They miss all of those things that make life just normal. This is what my day is like. It includes school, and it includes all of these grown-ups and kids that care about me. Mm-hmm. And so I know when we first started the at-home schooling, we weren't able to connect via Google Hangout Meet or anything. And I just got this sense that, I mean, everyone, teachers, kids, parents, they were just really missing that, just really feeling isolated in so many ways. And so when that opened up, you really did start to see the, that sense of belonging come back. It was for everyone. I mean, teachers were thrilled to be able to see their students, on, even though it was on the computer, you still have that connection. And so we are finding ways to make this happen, even though we're not physically in the building.
You mentioned the connection to the kids, and one of the things that you also have mentioned to me earlier is how important the connection to the parents is through this process. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Right. That is our go-to now. So it's actually, I think that this whole process has really helped me to build relationships with parents. So often our connection is with the student. That's who we see on a regular basis. We may connect with parents sometimes, but it isn't a daily basis kind of situation. Well, now it's truly, we are going through the parents in order to talk to their children. And I personally have really enjoyed that connection. I feel like we've learned a lot from each other. And so there are some things that will come out of this whole process that will be unexpected bonuses. It just feels really hard right now.
Mm-hmm. How can you describe what your interaction is like with them? Do you talk to individual parents? Do you talk to them in groups? How do you manage that?
Right. With parents, it's generally individual. So it started out with just making phone calls or emailing. The phone calling was difficult at first because we didn't have a method for the parent to be able to call us back, and it says, no caller ID. So, some parents didn't even know who was calling or whatever. But now I feel like we've gotten through that. We've kind of gotten through that, and it's, I think we're way more connected now than we were before. So a lot of the connections are on Google Hangout Meet. but it's with the students generally then. So parents are generally around even when I'm having small group interactions with kids because they're helping them to set up the computer or whatever. But with parents, it's a lot of emailing now at this point to, try to help them to get connected to the next thing, or, I'm sorry that your child wasn't able to, make it to the last Google Hangout that we had or whatever. So lots of connecting.
When you talk about the meetings that you had, can you? I bet a lot of people don't realize what you did during the day when things were normal, and when you talk about the groups and that kind of stuff, and you're conducting those now via the technology. Can you talk a little bit about the types of groups you do and stuff? Right.
Yes. Well, and I mean, in this time, I'm not doing the same kind of groups that I did when I was physically in the building. We do a huge range of different groups addressing different needs for students generally when we're in the school building. Now, truly, our number one priority is to get kids connected with each other and with us. So we're playing games. We're, online. We're just doing like a little group of 5 students, and so how are things going? What's going well? What are you missing from school? And then just do some sort of an I Spy game, or we do scavenger hunts and things like that. It's the whole priority is to get kids connected right now. So when teachers do classroom meetings, it's so beautiful to see everybody smiling at each other and connecting because of the social distancing. I mean, they can't. It's not like a summer, when kids get to see each other in the neighborhood. Yeah. It isn't like that. Everyone is really needing to stay alone, and that's been real hard for some kids and families, especially.
One of the things you talked about earlier was the online life skills and that kind of thing. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Sure. Yes. Well, I am really fortunate to have an amazing team of counselors here. We are very tight knit. We share everything. And so that has actually been a lot easier than it might have been otherwise. I was supposed to go to Egypt for spring break, and that did not happen. So I spent all of spring break just pretty much figuring out how to do the online, screencasting and all of the online way to do my life skills lessons. But then since then, we've all been sharing ideas. And so it's actually, I use this background as my background when I do the screencasting. And I've tried to really focus on lessons that, some of the lessons were the things that I would have been doing anyway. But some of them are really more geared to what I think kids need to be focusing on right now. Where are those needs? Worry was a big one, especially at the beginning when it seemed, I think it felt scarier at the beginning because it was transition, into this new way of learning. So I've done, worry lessons. What's kind of neat is that I can put this lesson out there. I show them a book, and then I offer a couple of ideas for activities. They can do it or they can not do it, but it's more likely they would be able to do that kind of activity at home than even at school. So they are doing kind of fun things with families if they, want to or have time to or whatever. And I think that's been kind of fun for parents to do also. The other thing I've really tried to push out, especially with the younger students, is how to get along with each other. I mean, we focus a lot on that in, the younger grade levels anyway, but with lots of siblings at home and parents trying to figure out, how to kind of deal with kids all day long. I think it's been helpful to some families that they have these things of, well, Mrs. Curtis teaches you Kelso's choices. And remember, if you say sorry, that can really help, or, whatever. So it's been super fun to have parents, sending me pictures of their kids doing what I've taught them to do in life skills and how it's helping their families. It's the cutest thing. It really, really sweet. So, yeah.
So there is a silver lining to this in some respects then.
Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't think, but certainly we are all anxious to get back into the building, so we're not doing this, but I do feel like, and maybe that's just what happens when you experience something like this together, even though we're virtual. we lean on each other. We're having to give each other a lot of grace. I mean, I've messed up plenty of times in the process of this, sending somebody the wrong link or something doesn't open or whatever. And I feel like everybody's just been so nice and patient and, just reaching out to each other. I don't know. It's just been a really, I don't know. I feel like a great support network with staff, parents, families, everybody.
You continue to do, I know you've done you do in the classroom or in the building, small group and individual counseling. You continue to do that as well.
Yes. And again, most of what I've done for individual counseling has been like how to handle worries again. So practicing some mindfulness, it's a lot of it is what we already teach. It's something that child would have already learned in a small group with me already. It's just kind of more of a coaching process. And the other thing it is helping the parent to know what those skills are, what those tools are, because they're right there on the front lines with their child, experiencing this. So I've sent like books on video on YouTube or something that I know this is a great book for that thing that a parent will email me and say, hey, my child is blah, blah, blah. Can you please help me figure out what I could teach him? Well, I know exactly what to teach him because this is what I would do if I was in the classroom. So I just send out this link. Can you read the story with them? And then we can follow up with, one-on-one counseling to kind of practice those things. So it's about getting tools out to people. I've also had a grief situation, a child that lost somebody really close to her. And so I've been doing individual counseling there too. I had actually mailed some things to the family because you'd normally do things like physically, right, in your hands. Right. And so I just mailed some materials to the child because they didn't have a printer, and so then we were able to work on that virtually. It's amazing how things really do work out. You just have to maybe have a little extra time and, to prepare and be patient.
Are you sensing that kids are more stressed or that they're feeling anxious?
Yes. I would say it really depends on the child because, we have to remember if, you think about yourself, are you more of an extrovert or more of an introvert? Mm-hmm. Children who are really comfortable around a lot of people think school is awesome. I mean, they're totally connected with friends and they're always talking to them and chatty and, they can't wait for recess and whatever. And so for those kids who are so connected at school, to be at home by themselves, some kids are only children too, so they don't even have siblings to fight with. For those children, this can be very, very stressful because it's lonely. And so that's why I feel like the small groups that I do, teachers do them too, the other counselors in the district are doing, anytime you're doing that small group, to pull other students in their grade it makes such a big difference because it just feels a little more normal and they get to, just talk. It's really just a very low key connection. So, and then vice versa, students who maybe don't feel as connected in the building, maybe possibly because they don't really get a lot from those social interactions, people that are more of an introverted, personality are thinking this is really not so bad because I really feel comfortable in my own skin. I like being I like to read, I like to whatever. And so, so some of these students are really maybe not having such a problem with it. So again, it's another situation. You just meet people where they are. So if students are really needing connection, I help to facilitate that. If they are really not and they're fine, they're kind of telling us that and they're doing okay. So it really is, it's different for everyone.
Yeah, you mentioned that meeting families where they are, and that implies a lot of not just what we've been talking about, but also what are their capabilities in terms of doing the technology stuff and all of that. Can you talk a little bit about that being how you're supporting families like that?
Yes, and really our district as a whole has just been amazing when it comes to trying to make this an equitable situation, as equitable as possible. It's never going to be exactly, the same, but I know that our district administration has really made it a priority to make sure that all families had access to internet, families had access to a computer, so that whatever we were pushing out through the classroom or school counseling or the via teacher or whoever, everyone would have an opportunity to have that. Now, has it been 100%? Probably not, because parents need to also opt into that and ask for it.
Right.
But I do feel like that has leveled the playing field in a lot of ways, and I feel so good about what our district is doing, because it's obviously like a priority for us,
right.
Is to make it available to all kids. Now, when it comes to technology, of course, we all have varying levels of ability to do this stuff. But we are also in the same boat with that. I mean, for me, the learning curve has been like this, right? And as long as we're all willing to just, kind of be in the same boat, and our media specialist has been fantastic about reaching out to families if, they're needing help to, how do I get from here to here? And I don't understand, why does this link not work? We also have district coaches and, at the district level, or coaches that work with us in our building. Everyone has been so hands-on with this that there's always someone who can kind of get looped in and how do we support this family. So probably our biggest struggle is when we're not able to connect with families, right? If they're not responding, and that can be for a whole bunch of different reasons. I mean, some people have to be living in a different state with a grandparent because that's just how it has to be right now. So if we are able to be connected with families, we can provide as little or as much support as they need, I guess, to an extent. So,
and as I recall, Rock always had the most diverse student population of any of the elementary schools, certainly. Has that created some challenges as well?
Yeah, it does. I mean, anytime it's families that maybe don't have the resources, it can be more challenging. But again, what's that?
Language, the English is, second language.
Yes, and that can be a concern also, but we do have the English language learner teacher that reaches out to those families. We have a Spanish interpreter now who has really been helping too, at least with the Spanish speaking families. What I know is that we are very aware of gaps that might exist, and I feel like everyone tries to minimize that gap as much as possible. And I'm really proud of that in our district.
Mm-hmm. One of the other things you talked about is that, the priorities for you are safety, obviously, and staying connected with families over the academic expectations. Do you, I'm sure a lot of parents are worried about, are they going to fall behind? And particularly now in light of the fact that you're not going back into the classroom for the rest of this academic year. And as I've often been told by counselors, lower your expectations is a good trick. So how are you dealing with that?
Right. And I mean, I can only speak to the elementary level. I'm sure having different conversations at middle school and high school, but definitely our priority is safety and connection. And so while there are some families, and sometimes it's a student that's sort of opting out, and that might be sort of a different conversation. That's when I'm really trying to pull that child into maybe some, small group chats to hopefully maybe lift their spirits a little or something. But if it's families that are just really struggling because it is just too much, we're meeting that family where they are. We get it. And we have a different level of expectations for third trimester of, the 1920 school year. It is simply going to be different. So again, it's our priority is more student engagement than it is like output of, projects or homework. It's more about engagement. I mean, it's really important. I hear it over and over from teachers. I just really want my students to come to our class meeting. because I want students to see each other. I want them to, have that part that's normal. And I mean, I participate in a lot of class meetings because first of all, it's a great way to, puts a spark in my day. It makes me smile. It is so great to see these students. They're always fun because they're playing some game or, showing what their pets or whatever. And then the other thing is when the teacher's internet blinks out, then I can continue facilitating. So it helps to have the two, the tag team.
Do the class meetings go on every day?
No, I think I don't remember exactly what was supposed to be happening. Some teachers, because of their connectivity, or they can only do it on a cell phone or something, they can only do small groups. So some teachers actually do their class meets more often during the week, but it's only a few kids, right? So I think the expectation is that, that teachers see, they offer to see every student once a week or something like that. But it's, again, that's also, we have to meet teachers where they're at. I mean, I am fortunate. I have a house full here, and it's a small house, but everybody's adults. So they can all take care of themselves, right? I mean, they're cooking my dinner, so it's great. But for, teachers that are trying to raise their own kids, teach their own kids, and then teach a classroom of students too, maybe there's somebody else in the house to help. Maybe there's somebody else that's there and making noise. I mean, I don't, it is hard, just like it is for families, for parents. So again, it's one of those things where when we just kind of give grace. There's, this teacher does it this way, this teacher does it this way, it still gets done. They love their students. We have to be very flexible and patient in this whole process.
And collaborating, obviously.
Yes, there's been so much collaboration. I feel I just finished 3 straight hours of meetings with teachers where that's what we're doing. We're talking about, what's happening in their classrooms, or, sharing names of students who maybe need some extra support, or, what can we do? Every week I meet with my elementary counseling team, and also our elementary school social worker, who is fantastic. And we talk about what's working for us. What are some resources we can be sharing with our families or teachers or whatever. It just makes us all better able to support our families.
Is there anything I haven't asked you about that you want to share, or?
Gosh, I'm trying to think.
Or if there's something that you want the public to know about all this that we maybe don't.
Right. I guess I would just say we all empathize. We want to be what our families need for us to be. And that would be whether we were in the classroom, in our buildings, or here at my dining room table. I want to, and I know my other counselors and teachers too, we want to provide the support that is needed. And we understand that some need more support than others. That's always going to be. We also know that some families are having to take a step back, and we totally get that too. So again, our priorities are safety and connection. We want everyone to reach out. Parents need to reach out and ask for help. If we have not asked you, if you need help, you need to ask us for help. I've seen this community pull together with, food backpacks. And I mean, I just feel like this is a really beautiful place to be in a kind of crummy situation. So I'm really, really proud of our community, and I'm proud of our school.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see what the new normal is like when all of this settles back, and what, how much of this is going to impact how we do things going forward.
Right. Oh, for sure. There's going to be a lot of parent meetings that are like this, I think, because it's pretty slick.
Yeah, it is slick.
It's really, and I think it'll be a lot more convenient for parents. So,
Trust me, I don't Zoom anywhere at my age, so this has been a big deal for me. So.
Yes, you did great. Nice work.
Thank you. I keep looking I don't know exactly where to look, but
Yeah.
it helps that you're a friendly face and I've interviewed you before. So I know you always have good things to say. So we appreciate this very much and look forward to seeing you back at school next fall, maybe.
Yes, absolutely. I look forward to being there.
Okay. Thank you, Kelly.
Chatting. Yep. Bye-bye.